social-emotional learning actually starts even before the baby is conceived. Is the acquisition and ability to implement or apply knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors that support this child or this person, one, to be able to love and accept themselves unconditionally. Second, to be able to identify their feelings and be able to manage their emotions, because emotions are like the gateway to, you know, our behaviors.
Socio-emotional learning. Well, you may ask, what is that? Who is supposed to learn? Where does it start? Who is involved in learning it? Is it something that is available to everyone? Who are the audiences? Who are the practitioners? Who are the participants of this socio-emotional learning? I'm so excited, and you can see it on my face, that today we are going to learn this very interesting subject. And our guest today is one, she's going to introduce herself because she's broad. I call her broad. I call her wide in terms of the skills, the experience, and her interaction with the community. This is a friend wa kitambo sana. Tumekuwa pamoja, tumefanya kazi pamoja, not necessarily in one office, but in different places. But today, you sit back and be taken through something very interesting by my guest, ANNE WAICHINGA. ANNE WAICHINGA is, as I said, somebody who is grounded in what she's saying. And you are going to believe me at the end of this session. And I want to welcome you, ANNE WAICHINGA, to the show. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Jane. My name is ANNE WAICHINGA. I am an educationist, a trained counselor, and also very well versed in the field of child protection. So I have worked with children and caregivers. Caregivers include teachers, they include parents, and they include other significant others who are impacting children in one way or another. Yeah, so my passion is promoting the well-being of children, and that is why I have decided that we need to focus on socio-emotional learning so that we can empower our children to be all that they were created to be. I believe they were created for greatness, and with our support, they should be able to exploit that greatness, not only for their own benefit, but for the benefit of all that God will give them to impact.
Wow.
Yes.
A mouthful, quite a lot.
Yes.
And socio-emotional learning.
Yes.
As I started by asking what it is, kindly guide us. What is it? Where does it start? Kindly.
Thank you so much, Jane, again for that question. It's pertinent because it's not rocket science. Actually,
I sit back now.
It is a part of our being because it is socio-emotional development is an aspect of our growth and a developmental journey. Together with other aspects of growth and development, like physical development and cognitive development. But when I look at socio-emotional learning, Socio-emotional learning and socio-emotional development, I equip it sometimes to a tree. You know, in a tree, I know this is a flower face, but we can assume that it is a tree.
Yeah.
It has roots, it has a trunk, and like these beautiful flowers, it has branches and leaves and fruits. So at the roots, we can equate that to the socio-emotional learning opportunities that we provide our children with. Today we are focusing on kids, but as I said, socio-emotional learning is for everyone.
Okay.
And then on the trunk, it is the thoughts, the beliefs, the subconscious memories that we have internalized from the opportunities that we encountered, you know, to help us learn those socio-emotional learning competencies. So unfortunately, because we are human beings, sometimes the opportunities could be negative, and and I hope many times then they can also be positive. So when they are positive, they impact our children with the desired socio-emotional competencies. And then the top of the tree, it has fruits and it has branches. So it is the attitudes, the knowledge and the behaviors that our children will implement, or they will demonstrate as a result of the opportunities, the socio-emotional learning opportunities that they encountered, what they learned, and what they learned are the attitudes, the knowledge, the values, the beliefs, the thought patterns. And then after that, now we are able to see, you know, what has this child internalized from their behaviors, from what they say, from their thoughts, from their attitudes. Yeah. So I just wanted to use that illustration so that it can bring the message home.
And I'm loving the way you're using it, because I'm seeing, like, for the flower to be the way it is, for a tree to be probably the way it is, and to give us the fruits.
Yes.
It is work.
It is work.
It is work.
I love the way you say it.
Yes.
Because that brings about the intentionality and us being deliberate to support our children to be able to learn those desired age-appropriate socio-emotional competencies. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the beautiful flowers have come from somewhere.
Yes.
There is a source. They are coming from somewhere.
Yes.
Can you take us there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to say that socio-emotional learning actually starts even before the baby is conceived. Because just like this tree, that this we are assuming this is a tree, or a plant.
Yes.
Even before you plant the seed in the soil, you need to prepare the ground to ensure that the ground is ready to receive and nurture the seed, so that you can get the desired plant that you want. The same thing for parents to be, or parents who have the intention of conceiving a baby. It's very important for them to start familiarizing themselves about the socio-emotional development journey of their child, so that they are psychologically prepared and they put the right mechanisms in place to be able to support this journey. I mean, this child, from the moment of their conception all the way up to 18 years. I'm talking about 18 years because according to our child protection legal framework, a child is a person below the age of 18 years. But if we were to look at it scientifically, psychology tells us that our mind continues growing and developing. For us to achieve socio-emotional maturity, it's about the age of 25 years. Yes, but today we can focus on 0 to 18 years.
18 years.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's about the preparation. I would encourage parents, daddy and mommy, and any other person who wants to bring a child forth, you know, to familiarize themselves on what is a social-emotional development and social-emotional learning. And, you know, that preps you psychologically to know, you know, how to support this child, like, you know, some of the things that we are going to mention in our discussion today.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, let's first of all look at what does it entail. Social-emotional learning is the acquisition and ability to implement or apply knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors that support this child or this person, one, to be able to love and accept themselves unconditionally. Second, to be able to identify their feelings and be able to manage their emotions, because emotions are like the gateway to, you know, our behaviors, you know, what we do, you know, they determine what we do. And then besides that, this person, social-emotional learning helps this person also to internalize the knowledge, the attitude and behavior. So in one word, we call competencies, to be able to demonstrate care and concern, what we call empathy for others. And besides that, to be able to nurture healthy relationship with others, you know. For example, if it is a child and it's a family center, they are able to love their parents, their siblings, you know, and they are able to relate well with the family members. And at the community level then, because then we talk about now healthy relationships. These are loving, healthy, loving relationships with loved ones, but with maybe work relationship. For example, in a school setting, we talk about a healthy work relationship. Then they're able to demonstrate that respect, that empathy, and relate well with teachers and with peers and other people, maybe at school level or at community level. Now, the competencies that we get from social-emotional learning also empower us to be able to interact with our environment productively. So we have problem-solving skills. You know, when problems arise in a child's day-to-day life, they're able to resolve those issues. They're able to make responsible decisions. So that way, then they can be productive. As they grow, they're able to undertake age-appropriate tasks in a responsible manner, in a manner that, you know, propels their development, personal growth and development, and in a manner that benefits the family members and community members.
True.
Yes.
I'm looking at you, Anne, and I'm asking myself, you've talked about preparing to get to have or you know, to expect a baby. And I'm looking at the word social. And I'm looking, so it's telling me like the environment, probably the family environment, the as you become pregnant, how do you move now? What influences that learning of a baby who has not come to this world, just been conceived? So probably you can just take us back a bit.
Okay. Now, you know, the decision to conceive a baby, especially in our maybe African setup, is very private to the two people who are siring the baby. But in other settings, people are open and, you know, they will voice they are trying to conceive, you know, probably with significant people in their lives who probably are support systems. But anyway, for the mommy and the daddy, I talked about being psychologically set. Because as we dive into this, we are going to look at the competencies, the social-emotional competencies that this child is supposed to internalize or to master in different stages of their growth and development.
Yes.
And I want to make reference to Erik Erikson,
Yes.
psychosocial theory,
Yes.
because it's the one that we majorly use.
Yes.
But also maybe blend it with recent research, which actually says that a baby starts learning from actually the moment of conception. They learn a lot in the womb, you know, as opposed to, I know Erik Erikson talks about from birth,
Yes.
moving onwards.
Yes.
But there is so much that we can do to support our baby to learn when they are not yet born, and prep them to transition or to embrace their world when they are finally born. So that is the preparedness that I am talking about, so that they are able to know from maybe 0 month, from conception to 3 months, what are we supposed to do? You know, going forward to the time of birth, what are we supposed to do so that we can support this child to learn as much as possible, or optimally before they are born. Because the more prepared they are to face the world, the better they will thrive. Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking at and I'm listening at you. I mean, to you, I'm listening and I'm telling myself, this is a preparation for those who want to get a baby.
Yes.
There are some babies that just come.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't know I'm pregnant.
And it happened even to some of us. Yes.
You just find yourself, you are there.
Yes.
So now, what would, okay, I know we haven't gone to now what you need to be to be done in this concept and the competencies.
Yes.
But probably you can talk to somebody there.
Yes.
Somebody who found themselves pregnant and they hadn't planned. And then Anne is talking about preparing for you to become pregnant.
Yes.
So that your baby can be ready for the social learning. So I'm just imagining where
I am so glad.
Where will those people be?
I am so glad that you have flagged that one out.
Yes.
Because we do have expectant parents who are like totally unprepared. We even have, you know, expectant parents who even maybe reject you know, their babies. Some even make a decision to procure an abortion. I know those are personal decisions, but what I would want to say is that there are no accident babies, because, and I'm not preaching.
No. You can even preach, no problem.
We have a creator.
Yes.
And the creator is the author of life.
Yes.
And I appreciate that sometimes we may be not ready and psychologically unprepared, and even you know, in other aspects of our lives, unprepared to support this child. But as a child protection activist or actor, I just want to mention that if this happens, we do have avenues to support. You know, like one can get counseling services, so that at least you are able to like sort your emotions out, sort your issues out. We also have opportunities where if you totally do not want to support that baby, you know, or to keep that baby, that's the word, then you can give that baby up for adoption. So you bring the baby up to term, and there are government facilities and even private institutions that will journey with you and support you so that you deliver the baby and then give the baby up for adoption. But something else that I want to say is that every conception gene is a miracle.
It is.
In fact, some studies I was looking at the other day, they indicate that 60% of conceptions are aborted even without the knowledge of the mother. So you can imagine a mother who actually, successfully conceives and the baby is okay and they grow up to term. It's a miracle.
It is.
Because 60% naturally wanatoka. Yeah. But there are those avenues that someone can follow through with to get support, psychological support, or counseling if you like, shelter. I know there are some girls, maybe teenage girls, like the discussion that you had previously with Susan.
Susan, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who may find themselves pregnant. They are not alone. There is help at hand.
Yes.
So please reach out so that you're able to get that help. And there's a reason why God chose to place that baby in your womb. I always say that because God is never wrong, you must be the perfect parent for that baby. So I would encourage, I would please seek for support so that you can cooperate with God to help this baby to become who they were intended to be, because it was not an accident. They were placed here with a purpose. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, we have moved from the preconception stage. Now, where do we go next?
We go from conception. Because the moment that conception takes place, like 3 weeks after, the baby is implanted in the womb.
Yes.
For me, I like calling them babies because life starts at conception. So for me, that is a baby.
I agree.
This is not a mass of cells.
I agree.
It is actually alive.
Is a baby.
And science tells us that, even if maybe the heartbeat cannot be detected, it starts beating very early. So it's a human being that is actually growing inside you. And then they tell us that the critical organs, like the brain, they start developing very rapidly, such that millions and millions of brain cells are formed every day, and neurons. Neurons are the message connectors. They get messages and transmit.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we need to do, those very early days, 0 maybe to 3 months, there are 2 things that I want to talk about. First, we need to make sure,
and kindly you can look into the camera and just talk those things.
Okay.
Yes.
I've said that the brain develops very fast.
Yes.
So it is very important for the mother-to-be, if you allow me, let me call her mom.
Yes.
And even the dad, to be very intentional on their diet, so that we can, in our diet, which actually should be a balanced diet, we need to ensure that it has nutrients for the brain. So that, because the brain is developing very fast, and the brain, and I would want to hold the brain now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here is our brain. It controls all the functions in the body. So when we talk about socio-emotional development, this is the organ which actually coordinates, our socio-emotional development. And there are 2 parts of the brain that are very key in this aspect. We have the amygdala, this small oval-shaped structure here, which develops earlier, very early, and it is the one that records messages. What the baby learns about when they are in the mother's womb.
Yeah.
What they learn about their environment, whether the environment is secure, whether the environment is friendly and welcoming, it is all stored in the amygdala. And then the prefrontal cortex, this part of the brain, is the one now that coordinates how we interpret those messages from the amygdala and translate them into our thoughts, our attitudes, and our behaviors. So, it coordinates that self-regulation, and the way we respond to different experiences. However, in children, it takes a bit of time for the prefrontal cortex to develop. In fact, they say it takes almost 25, a person who is 20 or a teenager, the prefrontal cortex has not, very well developed. So sometimes when you see them being impassive, it's not their fault.
It is the development that is not fully.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But anyway, those are the two parts of the brain that are developing very fast in this small human being of ours.